Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Mohammed Umayr, currently at the One Shot Podcast. This is Haroon, this is the commissioner, and this is Usman, the guest of the podcast as well. Today, I wanted to give you guys a warm welcome for the podcast, and wanted to give you guys a shout out for being able to play in this week's games. Finally, we've been waiting 1 year long for this. It's been such a long journey and ride, especially with Dallas and all these other tournaments that have been going on. Um, and further ado, I wanted to give you guys like a little bit of introduction. And Haroon, if you want to start us off with
Definitely,
the introduction for this league.
for sure. So, Alhamdulillah, this year we had the idea of doing this one-shot podcast, which is basically your insider uh, background to CMBL and beyond. What we're going to try doing weekly, inshallah, is introduce guest players, whether it be the captains, coaches, players of the week, or whatnot. This year, unfortunately, or this week, unfortunately, we got Osman from PYP. You either hate that team or you love that team, right? So, Osman, we've gone back and forth for the last, I'll probably say 15 years, alhamdulillah. CMBL, what is CMBL? CMBL is basically what we're doing tonight. I've known Osman for about 15 years now, alhamdulillah. Our kids know each other, our wives know each other. That's what CMBL is.
Our wives like each other.
Yes, but we don't like each other. Let's just get that.
Just to make this very clear.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just curious how this dynamic came to be for CMBL, like a love-hate relationship.
Man, how did it start? I think it started when PYP started winning. Let's just put it that way.
It's just like
I got very annoying.
So about 15 years ago, Haroon started. No, I mean, obviously, it's this is all in good fun. You know, I have a lot of love for Haroon and a lot of appreciation for all that he does. It's a thankless job, putting a league together, putting tournaments together. You're never going to make everybody happy. You might make some people happy, but you know, Haroon, we appreciate all that you do, you and Farhan together. And just so everybody knows, this is all in good fun. We do really, at least on my end, there's no real beef, but it might not seem that way throughout the podcast.
And let me put it out there. I'm the loudest one on the committee board, so obviously everyone knows who I am. I speak the most. I'm very vocal, right? But there's definitely a lot of people behind the scenes that do a lot of work that doesn't go appreciated, like Osman said, right? It's a very thankless job. You got Farhan and Mohammed, obviously. You got Shazad. All our family members, our nephews and nieces and wives help us out. So alhamdulillah, we're very thankful for that. They make our jobs much, much, much easier. And throughout the years, I mean, just give you guys an example. My oldest daughter, Amira, she grew up with One Athletics. They were both born around the same time. So I always joke with her about which one I love more, right? So if she pisses me off or makes me mad, I tell her I love, CMBL One Athletics more, and it provides more to our family than she does. But joking aside, alhamdulillah, CMBL and One Athletics, right? It's been around for about 15 years, and you could see the community that we've created. Just to give you guys an idea, we got teams from Milwaukee who are participating this year. You got players who are from the southern suburbs, Orland Park, Tinley. I mean, you're talking about 45-minute drive each way, right? That's commitment for players and teams. So, alhamdulillah, we want to thank everyone that's been participating this year. This has been the largest season so far, the last 6 or 7 years, alhamdulillah. So we got 16 teams, and we're just going to build off of that and just try to provide you guys with a product that you enjoy, love, and keep coming back.
Yeah, I can definitely feel the love based off like the amount of technicals that we have counted this season. Do you want to talk about that, Haroon, in terms of like what this new initiative that you started?
Yeah, so there's a few new things that we're offering this year. Obviously, the podcast. Again, the reasoning behind the podcast is to give you guys the behind the scenes, kind of talk to different players. Inshallah, in the future, we'll start taking phone calls if we can and have you guys talk trash to each other on the podcast or give gracious comments to each other, whatever you guys want to do. But a few initiatives that we did this year is introducing something called Snipback. Basically, it's a AI software application where we upload our videos and they provide us with stats. They provide us with highlight clips for the players. And inshallah, we'll be uploading that to our website. So each individual player will have access to their own individual highlights. We're trying to clean that up on our end first, inshallah, but we'll introduce a little bit more in the next week or so. A few other things that we are introducing is the no cursing jar, right? So there's, let's just put it this way, it's very competitive, this league, and there's a lot of words that should not be said. It is a very family friendly environment that we're trying to create because, again, I mentioned earlier, I have my wife and my kids that come watch. Osman has his family. Like, everyone has their families that come watch these games, right? So we want to keep this as a very family friendly environment. It is Muslim only. So obviously that's the biggest thing that we have, right? We're different than our other leagues and tournaments because we are Muslim only and we are one of the larger ones. But putting it back into the whole no cursing thing, what we introduced this year is anytime a player gets a technical foul for cursing, to be allowed to play next game, they have to donate $10 to the no cursing jar. And what's going to happen is, as the money is collected over the weeks and throughout the year, we're going to take all that money and then, inshallah, donate it to a charity that helps the Palestinian women, children, and obviously people in Gaza, inshallah. Even the league itself, all the profits that we make from this league is donated to Palestine. Everyone knows what's going on. That's not a joking matter, so everyone knows that. I don't want to get too deep into that, but some of us that play in the league have family and friends that are still back home that are affected by that. So we would definitely want to keep them in our du'as, inshallah. But again, One Athletics, all the events that we do not collect anything. Everything is always donated, right? So I know some people sometimes complain about the registration fees, the costs, or whatnot. But at the end of the day, just understand that any money that we do make is donated back to Palestine or a local charity at that opportunity of time. But also understand that some money does come back into the organization, to kind of, make it better. For example, this year we provided customized jerseys, and we're also providing customized backpacks for every player. Just to give you an idea of how we're growing every year. So that's what CMBL is about.
Perfect. Yeah, I honestly love this idea of like doing the podcast because I feel like there's so many people in group chats with their own teams having discussions, just like how we are right now, just about like
Sure.
debates or anything like trash talk or anything regarding this. So this just gives like a platform for people or captains or anyone to kind of get their voice out. I want to kind of get into like the games that happened like previous week, starting
Yep.
with Usman's very own PYP versus Arab Lockdown. I knew this was like family versus family. This is kind of personal. Saw it from the tip. Everyone was like, "All right, we gotta get this team down." Usman, you want to explain like what your guys' mentality was starting the game? You guys came in very hot and just were killing it on all cylinders, mashallah.
Yeah, no, alhamdulillah. Like you said, it is family. Like at the end of the day, One Athletics is one big family, but even within that, there's actual blood relatives playing against each other.
Yep.
Actually, it goes back to the beginning of PYP. Tariq Al Hajj, obviously Turkey. You guys may remember him. He'll be back, inshallah. But I had to take him away from his cousins at Arab Lockdown, the Abdel Fattah. So, it is actually family. Going back to this game, there's always pride on the line. There's always smack talk. People are at dinners, nights before games, and things like that. So everyone wants to come out and put on a show and compete and have those bragging rights. But generally speaking, I mean, there was no real different game plan. We try to get our defense going early, and I always say that if our defense and rebounding is in place, that our offense is going to come. We have a lot of really good shooters, some of the best shooters in the league, all on the same court at the same time. So just trying to come out with some defensive intensity and get some stops, get some rebounds, and just want it more. I think alhamdulillah, we've had a long track record of winning over the years, and it gets you tend to get complacent or start to expect people to miss shots or kind of roll over for you, and that's just not the case. And I think as we're getting older, we're realizing that teams are coming to play, and we have to match that intensity. So no real change in the game plan, man. Just defense to offense and sharing the ball, playing as a team, and alhamdulillah, it worked out for us this last week.
So how does it feel to be the mastermind about putting this roster together year after year? SubhanAllah, like the turnover rate, I feel like he has always add a player or two, whether it be stealing it from other players like out of lockdown or whoever it might be, right? Or just grabbing them from the streets. I mean, I feel like SubhanAllah, and I'll be honest, you do an amazing job putting this roster together, right? It's hard to get superstars to play together and mesh but you guys tend to do it well year after year, right? So how does that feel to be that mastermind, that villain, that people again either hate or love, right?
You know, subhanallah. First of all, I think you guys. I think there's more credit given to the roster management and things like that. Like you have to keep in mind, we've been the core of our team has been together for
Yeah,
almost a decade and a half, right? So
yeah,
it was a bunch of selfless superstars, guys that could want to be on a team that they get to shoot more or whatever the case is. But just a bunch of guys that are committed to winning. And I like to take pride in our culture. I know not to make it sound like too official, but we do, I think, have a winning mentality, a winning culture at PYP. Everyone kind of buys in. You have young guys that are very good players. Like coming up, you think about like Shafiq a few years back started playing with us. He's a bit younger than us. Most recently, Sam Hamwi. Guy was dropping 30 on no name teams. No offense to anybody he played with before, but they weren't winning. And so when you have young guys that are superstars, but willing to kind of just buy into the system and the culture of team ball, and it makes it easy. But like alhamdulillah, we've been blessed. The core has stayed together for the most part, and nobody is overly concerned with their individual stats or their individual brand or anything like that. It's just kind of we want to get together. We realize everybody has more fun when they win.
for sure.
And yeah, and in terms of being the mastermind, it's funny. Apparently, Umayr, you can probably attest to this. These young guys. So what? You're like 6 years younger than me, right? But apparently, like Umayr's generation, they had a nickname for me. They used to call me Mob Boss behind my back, as if I was running some sort of criminal underground organization. When in reality, it's just a bunch of guys.
It's
trying
like
to play basketball.
It's like a love and hate nickname. It's like this, like it's like it's more so of like, man, this guy, we gotta watch out for this guy because you don't know what's gonna come out for them. So like everyone from my age is like seeing like, because if you look at it from our perspective, like when we saw like older guys play, we would always see you guys like Final Four. So like we would see like we would see Saadeh growing up hooping. We would see like ATM, another guy, big name like. So for us, it's like, how is PYP, like it's been 2010 to 2025. You guys have always been in the winning side, regardless of like age. So it's like, I think the nickname came to like, all right, we got to watch out for Mob Boss. He's going to come up with we got to come up with something. Just to go back to like the game highlights, Vince actually, his debut was like, he shot like 5 threes, I believe, like in his debut. He saw him shot like 4 threes. It was a lot of ball movement that was going on. What was like in terms of what was like the message going in? Like what was in terms of like, your identity, like the identity? Because every year I believe when I've been playing with you guys as well, like there's like a message that we kind of put out, like this is our identity for the team for this year, or like new faces, new names. How do we mesh? Like what was, I guess, like what for this year? Like what was the identity that you kind of put out there?
So specifically for, generally speaking, like I don't think that it's a whole lot different, right? Like I mean, it's a make or miss league, right? So we have to be able to put the ball in the hoop, and alhamdulillah, we're blessed to have guys that can do that. But we're a group that always passes a good shot for a great shot. So you'll see a lot of extra ball movement. Sometimes we'll sometimes overpass, but it's all about swinging the ball, kind of having a synergistic effect with the guys. And then, alhamdulillah, this year for CMBL, it's Brian's first CMBL. He's obviously the engine that kind of gets, he's huge, right? So, and his energy is contagious. So defensively, that's all the focus is to get stops, right? And get out into transition. And having Brian with us this year is, that becomes your identity. It's contagious energy, and everybody just, there's no excuse for not getting on the floor or giving defense 110% every possession. But yeah, I mean, I think ultimately that's our game plan. There's no secrets here. We want to score more points than the other team. So
usually you win when that happens.
Yeah, right. That's usually how it goes.
Cool. Yeah, I know that Arab Lockdown was missing their best player, Armin. But obviously they'll probably bounce back I don't expect them to play like they did. I think it was just week one was kind of a slump for them, but inshallah they'll be able to. They're a great team. We'll bounce back
Yeah,
for next week. Another game that was kind of highlighted was DFL versus Evolution. They had a tight game as well. Came down to like the Elam ending, and then from there they were essentially DFL took it away. Bunch of young, very young guys that were really hard and gritty, and just took the game away. In terms of highlights of that game was Masroor dropping 4 threes, grabbing rebounds, playing hustle defense. I believe Musab finishing putting a clutch bucket. Faisal Bawani's kids actually another OG guy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean,
he's
to feed
that's
off
like
what you're saying.
sorry, like the identity for them is just like hustle and grit for them. So
Yeah, and to kind of feed off what you're saying, I mean, the three teams that we're talking about, including a few more we'll touch on later, they've been around for 15 years. You know, I mean, DFL, this is second generation players, right? Their dad used to play, right? So that's how long CMBL has been around, right? And just to give you guys an idea, I mean, there are, I'll probably say 6 teams that are playing this year that have been around from the beginning. I mean, there's core players, as Osman mentioned, from his team that have been around for every single season. And you'll notice that from other teams as well, where like out of lockdown, you got Najah, you got Mohammed, you got these guys who have been a core for a very long time. And that's kind of what we're creating. You know, you're creating natural rivalries when that happens, right? Like, I mean, we're talking about week one, and you're talking about, you know, a tier one teams playing against each other with out of lockdown and PYP, right? We don't want to wait till the end of the season to kind of spice things up. We're like, let's just start at week one. Let's get these bad bloods on the court at the same time, see if punches are going to be thrown. Alhamdulillah, none were, but just to give you guys an idea of where we stand right now with the competition that we have, with the amount of teams that are playing and the players, again, coming from all over the city and the suburbs. So just to touch, you know, what you're saying with DFL, again, I'm the Bawani kids. They put a team together. Our team chemistry and defense, right? This team, they base their team off of their dad's mentality. You know, strong defense, face-to-face defense, lockdown defense, team chemistry, offensively and defensively, and you can see that during the game. So
yeah, they literally were full court pressing the whole game essentially, and they just brought that energy, which was contagious. When you got one guy playing like that, everyone's gonna play like that. So
you're gonna feed off it, definitely.
Perfect. And then the last game of, I think this is already so early, but maybe game of the year with Ruckus versus Yours Welcome. Yours Welcome came. Yeah, Yours Welcome came to play, and Ruckus came to play with Ali Sabit. And the new player for Yours Welcome was Sami Usmani, making his debut. I feel like it was like a back and forth shootout between those two players. And man, Ali's just a great player with Sami as well. And just like you can tell, like when this Dallas introduction came into CMBL, you can tell people are taking it seriously. And I think both teams came and were like, we're going to show you guys we deserve to be in Dallas. And literally, like, with Ali and then Bassett hitting a clutch back foot jump shot, and just proving it to Anuni at the end, saying like, you guys still lost for even though like the AD was off the whole game.
Yeah,
it just goes to show like these guys are ready to play, and just that. And honestly, like the score was just going back and forth. Honestly, it was just like those guys are such talented players and young guys too. I think Usman, like you probably saw them like growing up. Haroon, you guys saw like Yours Welcome, like coming up and like all these super young too. Bassett, all those guys. So it's like this is their prime years too, which you guys I feel like are starting to hit that older generation peak. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Let's put it out there before anyone gets it wrong. Ruckus this year are going by OTF, right? So we don't want to piss off those players and call them by the wrong name, and we get text messages asking us why you guys keep calling us Ruckus. So they are OTF.
As long as Farhan is there, I think we can call like we might be Ruckus, but I'll call them OTF. Sounds good.
Osman, would you ever think about a team name change, or is PYP? What does PYP stand for?
PYP is Pick Your Poison.
Okay.
You know, and obviously straightforward message there, right? Like we're gonna get you one way or the other, right? Funny story behind it is that it was really just like a random UIC intramural name. Late night, one guy is signing up. He didn't play with us for long, but he was like our old point guard. He was signing up, and he's like, "What should we be called?" And previously, there was a team that I played on with this guy, and we were the Dunking Donuts. And so like it was like a funny name, and then like randomly it just came to me, and like kind of in a split moment, I was like, how about pick your poison? We could go by PYP. And then, that's obviously a cliche or a common saying that you hear a lot. And then, I wasn't in love with the name. And then we played our first NMBT as PYP in 2012. Haroon, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think across all the divisions there was like 46 teams in 2012 Midwest.
That was one of This was in Naperville. We had I think 2 divisions, and we had about maybe 46 or 48 teams at that time.
Huge tournament. We come out. Yeah, this is 2012, man. This is this is the first NMBT we're actually playing as PYP. And
you already had 2 out-of-block players on your team at that point.
Mohammed right.
Saadeh.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a whole back. I mean, I don't know how long we have here, but without getting too into it, we had like 4 guys. 2 nights before the tournament, we had 4 guys. We had me, Tariq, Emil, and Walid Dahbour. And Tariq's like, hey, I can see if my cousin's playing. And his cousin being Mahmoud Abdel Fattah, who, obviously, mashallah, Division II basketball player, always a good guy, but NMBT legend, and then obviously went on to do bigger, great things on the NBA G League and the NBA level. So, mashallah. But anyways, so we ended up playing under Pick Your Poison and winning that tournament. And we're like, well, we can't really like change our name now. And so then after that point, it just stuck. And so since then, we haven't considered a name change. But, with OTF and Ruckus, they've been OTF heavy for some time. Like they're a bunch of young guys that are play under OTF for other stuff. So it makes sense. But I think to Umayr's point, out of respect, if Farhan's still on the team, man, you got, call it what you want. It's Ruckus, I think.
It is.
I'm curious to say, sorry to cut you off, but I was curious to say, like, how did you guys start from like CMBL in terms of like how is it different from like I guess your first championship to like this current season, or like when you guys first started? I believe 2010. First, if you can explain how many championships you have won, since you guys been naming.
We don't need to get much details. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
We don't. Yeah, this is it. I mean, who's counting, right?
Not me. Not me.
I don't look at the album on my phone in my camera roll, right? But
picture. We gotta see that picture, Osman.
Which picture?
Everyone knows that picture.
Gosh,
I know it's your background.
No, I'll find it. I'll find it before this calls up. But to Umayr's point, man. The competition level, obviously, and I'm not trying to. We actually joked about this in our group chat the other day. Shafiq Saeed, he's only a couple years younger than us, but he's talking about us like we're playing in the '60s. Like back in the day, were these teams good? Like, did you have a 3-point line? Like, could you dribble between the legs back then? Like, but the reality is, like, I think that even though the individual talent has just gone up across the board, I think that there's no denying that, right? More kids are training, taking basketball seriously. A lot more college players are kind of like coming out hungry to play in these men's leagues. They see how organized CMBL is and other Muslim leagues or open roster leagues around the area, and they want to get into it. They want to scratch that competitive itch. So I think that the individual talent has gone up. I think the athleticism probably has gone up. Oh, that's the picture. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen that before, I think.
Oh, yeah. Pretty sure it's going through a bunch of WhatsApp groups.
Yeah, that's just my automatic default reply. Any hater. No, but the individual talent has gone up. Athleticism's gone up. I think the game has changed a little bit. Obviously, we always say Steph Curry ruined the game, right? A lot more 3-point shooting. It feels like everybody, if you can't shoot threes, it's very rare that you're a successful player. But despite that, I think that the team chemistry and the actual teams that are competing, I don't see as big of a difference in, I guess, how good any individual team is back in 2010, 2012 versus now. Like we've seen a lot of really good teams back then and to this day. And, the things that make a good team hasn't changed, right? Playing together, playing hard defense, you don't get extra points for dunks, right? It's the same points as a layup, right? You don't get there's no one's rolling over because someone played, some level of basketball and then came to this league. It's the competition, I think, has been, despite individual talent going up, I think the competition has been fairly equal. And going back to the 2012 tournament, it was no joke, right? Like, we beat a team with 2 Division I guys, right? Saadeh, Jared, the guard, was at Valpo. Saadeh, I think, was at USC.
Yeah.
And then they had a guy, Vic, I think his name was. He was like he played at a good D2 school and was big and could shoot and do all of that stuff.
That was a 4 overtime game, wasn't it? Or 3?
That was not, I think they played that before getting to us. It might have been a good thing for us that they played that before they got to us. But it's not as if we were playing some sort of scrubs back then, and all of a sudden, it's not like we're playing uncles back then, and now we're playing like college players. We were playing this, a high level of competition from the beginning. And that's kind of how it worked, right? All the top tier teams would kind of filter out. Maybe across the board, there's more competition. Definitely this season, right? We're looking forward to. There's some teams that we were never title contenders in the past, and now we're looking at them like, hey man, they got a real chance. So maybe just kind of across the board, there's more competitive teams, but the top level hasn't changed that much, I wouldn't say.
And let me bounce off of what you just mentioned with talent and tiers. So this year, we introduced a tier system, 4 tiers, right? You got tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we kind of split up the teams evenly, 4 in each tier. And the reason why we did that is for competitive reasons, right? Like, for example, we wanted the best teams to play against each other, and we wanted to make sure that they played against each other. And, the bottom tier teams to kind of be competitive against teams with similar talent as their team, right? So what's both of you guys, I guess, what's your thoughts on this whole tier system that we created, where we'll be releasing a new ranking system every couple of weeks, and it's I think it's a unique situation because you won't know where you are every 3 weeks, right? You could, PYP could always assume they're going to be in tier 1, but if they lose 2 games, they'll drop a tier, right? And now they're going to play somebody that's going to be at their talent level, or they just miss a few players and they drop 2 games in a row. So you don't know who you're going to play every week. Let me put it that way. And I think that's creating an excitement because you're just waiting for that release, right? And then, everyone wants to build up and, win 3, 4, 5 games in a row and get into tier 1, because that's probably the most, that is the hardest tier, right? And that's going to have the best teams always, right?
Yeah, so I think it's more of a psychological thing that, I deserve to be on the top. And it's like, especially with sports, like, you want to play, if you're the best, you want to play with the best. I remember, I saw, when we released, when we all looked into, releasing the tier list, I remember when Farhan was going to post it, in the comments, this is just a small example, I saw Pillars, one of the guys from Pillars was like, we don't deserve to be in tier 2, which 100% I think they deserve to be in tier 1, but because of what happened, because of what happened last season with them bouncing off in the first round, we put people based off of last year's, how they ended up in the playoffs. But they already had that underdog mentality, and it showed with week 1 when they played against Pele Elite, we deserve to be on the top, and we're going to prove to be on the top. And especially if you were on,
they're going to punish anyone in their way.
Right, and if you're on tier 1 right now, next week if you lose, you might not be there. So if you go down to tier 2, you already feel like, I don't deserve to be here. I don't want to play against. I deserve to be in tier 1 and play against tier 1 competition. So it already has a psychological effect. It makes you want to play even better. And if you're in tier 1, you want to stay in tier 1 to show everyone else, I am the best team. So it gives a psychological impact on the players and the teams to be on the best side. So,
personally with PYP, there were some mixed reviews or mixed feelings about it. I think that nobody wants to show up and play a team that's way out of their league, right? One way or the other. Right, like a team that is not very competitive, does not want to play the best team in the league, and just have a demoralizing loss. It is a team game, right? So even if there are some good individual players on that bottom tier team, if they're playing one of the best, if they're coming across a PYP or an OTF or whoever is a tier 1, it's not going to be a pretty experience, and they're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Likewise, a lot of the top teams they want a competitive game every week. Like, a lot of guys would rather lose a close, hard fought game than win in a blowout. So, even in PYP, there's some guys, it's surprising. Sometimes some people you think would never want to play a bad team were like, I kind of like enjoyed that game where maybe some of the bench guys get to play a little bit more. Maybe you just get to try different things under whistle that you wouldn't do otherwise. So there's pros and cons for sure, but I think that what you guys are trying to do by keeping each game each week competitive, I don't think anybody can complain about 8 or 9 hard fought weeks, right? That's why we're playing.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the season, it's all going to play out how it should play out, right? So let's just say PYP stays in Tier 1 the entire season, and they probably have 4 hard-fought losses. I mean, at the end of the season, you are going to have top-tier teams and lower-tier teams. Lower-tier teams might win 3, 4, 5, 6 games, but at the end of the year, everything's just going to blend out, and you'll know who the best teams are, and you'll know who are not, good teams. So, I mean, just going back to what you said in the whole tier system. So, our preseason rankings had, again, it's not number 1, 2, 3, or 4, but we had OTF, You're Welcome, PYP, and Out of Lockdown, right? And seeing what we saw in week 1, I mean, they all kind of deserve to be there, right? And then in the lower tier teams, you got UMB, Baba Amro, La Shabab, and One Oma as tier 4s. Basically, all those 4 teams were all new teams. So, automatically you get put to tier 4. But after week 1, I could tell you there's 2 of those teams that probably won't be down there for that long, right? So there's definitely going to be a lot of transition going up and down this ladder. And I mean, we'll just have everything play out. And I think it'll be fun to kind of see it happen. It's, again, we're going to keep saying this. We're going to keep evolving and bringing new items to this league, right? And some things are going to be good. Some things are going to be, what the hell were you guys thinking? So, inshallah, this will be one of those good things. So we'll see.
Yeah.
One thing before we move on from the tier 4 teams, what team is Chunky Kyrie on?
Man, listen, I know who that is. We played against him. So, I mean, okay, so that was Le Shabab versus One Umma. Let me put it this way. I don't think they missed any threes, right?
Dude.
And
okay.
And I mean, forgive me, I don't know what his name was, but yes, his name on jersey was
Kyrie.
Kyrie. He played like skinny Kyrie. Let me put it that way. Like
he played. I mean,
subhanallah, and I don't want to jinx anyone or hasad anyone.
Mashallah, mashallah.
At the end of the game, subhanallah, mashallah, like he defied physics, man.
Dude, hey man,
he defied physics. I mean, to be able to move like how he did during the game, and no, he shot a lot of threes, but man, like dribbling that ball, he had that ball on a string. We had one of our better defenders on him, and I'm just sitting there, I was like, dude, he can't take the ball from him. Like, I know he plays college ball, I heard, but the end of the day, at the end of the day, I'm just sitting there, I was like, the best 3-point shooter should not make. He hit double digits. I'm 100% sure. He hit double digit threes.
Wow.
And that should not happen in any game. I don't care who you are. It's very, very rare to happen in CMBL, right? Or anything.
I don't think CMBL has seen a chunky Kyrie before.
No, or a skinny Kyrie, but yeah, any kind of Kyrie, man.
All I'm saying is that my guys were mesmerized. I think some of them were starting to worry about their spot, on PYP.
Knowing you, Osman, I'm pretty sure they should be worried. So
they were watching me watching him. Let's just say that much. So
yeah,
I don't know who you are, Chunky Kyrie, but mashallah, man.
I think it made people realize, like, why am I getting skinny in the first place? Like, after seeing
that's a sore subject. That's a sore subject. It's always worth it. But no, mashallah, obviously, I think that it's a joke. Obviously he's owning his little, his persona about it. But obviously, mashallah is doing great on the court.
He is very humble. Like, subhanAllah, again, he played against my team. He came to the younger guys, because obviously he plays college ball, or played college ball, and he came to the younger guys and said, guys, listen, man, this is what you should be doing, right? And don't let this game put you down. Like, play with your heart and do the right thing. I mean, listen to your coaches and whatnot. So, very humble guy. Like, no one took it the wrong way, like he's bragging or anything like that. It's more of like, listen, I'm at where I'm at because this is what I did, and we definitely, I appreciated that as an older guy. And going back to being an older guy, let me put it this way: I am probably twice the age of half the guys in this league now. And my wife and my wife and kids like, why are you playing? I was like, listen, I'm coaching, man. I'll probably get 2 or 3 minutes. And I'm happy. I'm done. I can't breathe after that. My days are done, man. But I enjoy playing. My nephew is on my team. Literally,
Mashallah.
and inshallah, I'll be playing with my son in the next couple of years. So that's my goal. Like, I mean,
Like
with Product
LeBron.
and his dad,
LeBron.
So
You're basically LeBron
LeBron.
James.
Basically LeBron.
I wish, man.
My
I wish.
last.
But no,
No, but go ahead.
I'm basing my role with the Hajj family, right? You got the father play with his kids, and talent wise, obviously, I'm nowhere near him, but to be able to play with your kids, man, or even your nephew, is a blessing. So inshallah.
Mashallah, man. And not to be too kumbaya or feel good this early in the season, but like the advice that this player gave to your team, and the whole idea of you guys coaching and trying to build these kids up, get them some experience against older, better talent, things like that. Like that's what this is about, man. Like, alhamdulillah, all these years, it's funny because I'm getting older, right? We realize that the days are kind of they're limited, right? Some people won't believe it or don't want to believe it, but our days are limited as being like the top tier competitive, most competitive teams, and really, like, even though all with Dallas on the line and all of that, like, there's a lot of buzz and everybody's getting better and more competitive, but I've just never been so excited to like see the guys come
Yep.
out. Like it's been a long while since the tournament. I really enjoy connecting with people. With social media, we're blessed to be in touch, and then like to get to see each other in person. Everyone's there on a Friday night. No one's rushing out to because they have work in the morning or whatever. I think that, alhamdulillah, man, maybe this is a little too feel good for after week one, but we're really, I'm grateful for the community that we have, and a lot of good things coming out of One Athletics.
So we mentioned Dallas a few times, and I just want to make sure people understand what that is. So a couple years ago, One Athletics, which is CMBL, and a few other Muslim leagues around the country, put together something called the MCL, which is a Muslim Champions League. This is an initiative started by Hamza out from DC, where he kind of brought this idea to us and said, "Listen, let's invite the best Muslim team from leagues from all over the country, and have them play against each other in Dallas, and basically, call themselves the best Muslim team in the country." So that's kind of what we are playing for, where the team that wins this year will be invited to Dallas to play against, the top 12 or 16 Muslim teams in the country, inshallah. So that's what Dallas is the Muslim Champions League, which is the MCL. Obviously, we follow them on our social media, so you guys definitely should do the same, inshallah. So it's something that everyone's playing for. Obviously, everyone's playing for bragging rights and for the hardware. But at the end of the day, to be able to travel to Dallas, I think is a unique experience for teams. I've been a part of it twice already with the different teams that have gone down there, and just the chemistry that's built with traveling, playing together, staying in the hotel together. I think it's just a cool and unique experience. And Mohammed, I mean, I think you're at the age right now where a lot of guys are post grad players, right?
Yeah.
And then you got people like myself and Osman who are, much older than you guys. And there's even teams and players that are much younger now. I mean, we're talking about
Right.
kids that are in high school. Again, I'm talking about my nephew who's in high school, and few teams are all high school and college players. And I'm happy to see that they have the confidence to play against older guys.
Yeah.
Now, with you and where you're at, how do you see that transition where you got people younger, people your age, and people older, and all playing in the same league? Do you see it competitive wise? How do you see that?
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not on the older side yet, so I'm literally in the middle. But I think younger guys have a lot of confidence, and the older
Yes.
guys have the experience.
Yeah.
There's like a saying, young guys run fast, but the elders know the road. So
Yeah.
meaning like the older guys know how to play team ball in a more effective way. So like I see younger guys try to be the highlight, try to do ISO ball, try to drop that 40 mixtape where it's like it's me type of ball, me mentality kind of, because it's like AAU. I'm trying to put it like this mixtape. I'm trying to go to college and play. Back then, I feel like if you played D3, that was huge.
Yeah.
Now it's like if you play D3, it's whatever. It's like, oh, you played college, it's all right. Like if you didn't play in a high degree, I feel like in older generation, what I've noticed playing with, like, for example, like PYP type guys, or like older generation, it's more about like Spurs type of mentality. Spurs basketball, moving the ball around. Everyone's dropping 10 to 15 points. Like no one really cares about who is going to be the like game light. In terms of more so with the younger guys, it's more about, am I getting the playing time, or am I getting the like shots, or am I getting, and it gets in their head. And I feel like it's like a weird transition, because it's like we realize we went through all that, and now we're transitioning into this like, okay, we're just trying to win now. Like we don't really like, if I come off the bench, like it's what I like. Rather, like other guys are like kind of be like, okay, I'm not, if I play 5 minutes, I'm not gonna try. Like I'm not gonna give my effort in. Whereas those are the moments where teammates, like that 5 minutes that you put in off the bench, that guy that's playing that role can make a huge impact on a team, which people don't realize. And I think it's just maturity and just basketball experience. You see like a lot of championship teams, like Andre Iguodala had a huge impact for the Warriors. He came off the bench. You have like guys in like LeBron, like NBA wise, like there are people that come off the bench and have this mentality. But I think it's just the league has changed a lot too, and even Muslim basketball, where now if you played college, you are considered more like, if you didn't play college, it's more so like, okay, it's kind of like you're whatever. So that's just been my experience in terms of like pickup or like whatnot, and it's just more so about like the gram, or like social media. I'm just curious, like in terms of like, you guys also played in other leagues too, so I'm curious like what you guys see from hindsight in these past like couple of years playing.
Well, piggybacking off your note about people kind of buying into a winning mentality or winning culture. I alluded to it at the start, and not to dwell too much on PYP's success, but alhamdulillah, we've had.
Well, you should. You should. You guys deserve it, man.
Alhamdulillah, man. Like we've been blessed. Uh, but anyways, like going back to what's worked for us is like as we get older, we continue to have young guys come in and kind of just buy into this winning culture, right? If you think about most recently the NMBT tournament, right? Like our average age, I don't think I'm embellishing. Like if you rule out outliers, like we're mid 30s or early 30s, and a lot of the teams that we're beating are in their prime, mid 20s or early 20s, fresh out of college, and we had some young guys come in off the bench that would be starting and playing 40 minutes for other teams, that were coming in and hitting big shots for us and diving on the floor and getting to loose balls and just doing all the winning plays that we needed down the stretch. Name Turk's little brother Saeed, Malik, obviously Isam Hamwi. He I talked about him earlier. These guys could go and play as many minutes as they want on any other team and still compete. But they kind of bought into the system, and I think that's where Umayr was going with that. It was just like, it's less about me or I, and it's more about the team. And everyone realizes that it's fun to win, right? It's fun to play good team basketball. And yeah, obviously we want highlights and we want to look good on the mixtape, but if that's why we were playing basketball, a lot of us, myself primarily, would have stopped a long time ago, right? If I was playing for highlights or whatever. But so yeah, I think just piggybacking off of Umayr's point, that's kind of where we're at.
I'm curious to ask you, like, what's like your best or favorite moment in all the years? Like, if you were to highlight one CMBL season for PYP, like, which season would you think, like, what would you like say was the best?
All of them, everyone that we won.
Come on, it has to be the first one. The first one's always the It's like your first kid.
There's nothing. First kid or first kiss? This is a Muslim podcast. Come on.
It's a Muslim podcast. We said kid.
Kid. No, alhamdulillah. So obviously, Haroon, to your point, nothing beats like I remember being in disbelief that we walked away from that NMBT with a couple of the guys that we played with at school, and Mahmoud, obviously, and a couple other guys, and we walked away beating teams from Atlanta and Houston and like I alluded to, teams with multiple D1 players. So obviously, like, the first one was awesome. Kind of sets your expectations pretty high, right? When you win that first tournament like that. And then, it's just, I think it's always sweet to come out on top. I've always said that I enjoy winning more than I hate losing. And people might disagree with that, right? So a lot of competitors just hate losing. But I think winning, if you look at it, 20 teams played, there's 19 losers. You're going to be pretty upset most of the time if that's how you're looking at it, right? But winning there's something special because so many things have to go right for you to walk away on top with, I think, whatever, 40 teams, or last year with however many teams from all over the country, with a bunch of 30-something-year-olds and a couple young guys walking away like it's, that I think that's really special. So, favorite, I want to say maybe the last one because we were such underdogs given our mean age and all of that. Our first one, maybe. I do want to go back to CM Bubble when we didn't know if we were ever going to play basketball again. It was nice to come back. Props to Haroon and Farhan and everybody involved in making sure that we completed that season. That was special because it was a tournament after a year and a half of not playing basketball at all.
Yeah,
that
was
tough. And coming back and winning that was fantastic. And a little tidbit for CM Bubble, don't take our title away from us. But if the season had ended in 2020 before we locked down for COVID, PYP wouldn't have made the playoffs. But then, people forget about that during the pandemic. We come back, we have a tournament for everybody, and alhamdulillah, we walk away winning that. So that was special too. But
so you're basically saying you're like the Lakers. You didn't deserve to win, but you won.
I mean, that's maybe, I think, we still were competing with everybody. What did someone? I think Dwight Howard said a bubble title is a bubble title, but it's a title nonetheless, or something like that. Alhamdulillah, we were. I think that every team is special, every win is special. Believe it or not, whether you win or lose, like every tournament is special. We're just grateful to be able to play, and if you don't get injured, alhamdulillah, if you don't lose your character and you maintain your iman and your patience, it's always a win in that regard.
So I know it's still week one. Everyone only played one game so far. But my top four going into week two right now, with no particular order, is PYP, OTF, You're Welcome, and Five Pillars. I believe even though You're Welcome lost, they did lose to the reigning champions. And I don't know if the team is cursed or what, man, but their guys keep getting injured.
Who got hurt?
Mohammed Abid had a runny, bloody nose. Malik had a gash over his eye. But that team is strong-willed, man. When you talk about chemistry, man, mashallah, that team plays well together. Young guys, fast guys, very skilled. Five Pillars, man, you can't say much about them. And the team that they put together, right? Abdullah, again, another GM who loves putting a roster together, right? OTF, again, Farhan. I don't know if he's slowly getting kicked off that team or what, but that team every year they put a team together that just wants to win and they're hungry. And PYP, we keep talking about you guys, but those are my top four going into week two. I don't know if you guys think the same thing otherwise or whatnot.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of go over the schedule for next week. Arab Lockdown will be playing Ruckus or OTF next week. That will be like a key matchup. I'm curious if Arab Lockdown. I think this is the week where Arab Lockdown shows. Okay, do we prove to be in tier 1, or I think they'll drop to tier 2 if they don't win. This will be a huge game for them.
They were my disappointment from week 1.
Yeah,
I know they were playing PYP and they were missing a player or two. But I did expect a more competitive game. The thing with Auto Lockdown, and it's been like this over the years, they need shooters, man. They need outside shooters. They could run their game through Nej in the post, and Nej is a beast. MashaAllah, man. He is a beast in the post. He is probably one of the smartest big men I've ever seen play. Another smart player on that team is Mohammed, their point guard. That guy is, man, he will get under your skin, man. He will get you
even in our old age.
He is, man. He will. These two guys, man, have been playing together forever, and you can see it in the chemistry that they
Mashallah.
have. But like you guys have been saying earlier, you can't just build it on two guys. You have, they got Ahmed, who's a 3-point threat every time he touches the ball. But at the end of the day, you need a team that plays together. And I was disappointed. But like you said, Mohammed, I mean, we want to see how they bounce back. OTF Ruckus is another rivalry that's been brewing for years without a blockdown. That will be a fun matchup. So
Yep. And
definitely.
another key matchup I think for next week will be
Can I-
Evolution versus Pillars. I think Pillars are going to show. I think if they win this game, they prove to be in tier 1. If they
Who
play
would
out
you
the way
bounce
they
out?
did,
Our blockdown?
out of lockdown, they will probably replace them. And then the last team, I think this is going to be the game of the week, which is going to be PYP versus You're Welcome. You're Welcome every time that has played PYP so far, as long as I've seen, they do not miss a shot. Like they play as if it's game 7 of like the NBA finals against these guys. I mean, Osman, like the last 2 times we played against them, it's been
Oh yeah.
what's going on. Like I'm
Yeah.
curious how you're gonna prepare this week for them.
Diet, exercise, fasting, defensive
Duas.
slides, duas, a lot of duas. Okay, a couple things. Actually, I'll talk about the PYP. You're welcome, but then I want to go back to air lockdown. Not to do too much scheming for anybody else, but yeah, I mean, You're Welcome. First of all, it's a bunch of guys that I consider like my little brother. Like Oates played with PYP back. It's almost 10 years ago now. He was like 18, 19, I think, when he was playing with us, and was just we won a handful of things together. I don't know how much one athletic stuff we won, but we won a handful of tournaments together. So Oates is just obviously he's very hard to contain. Very quick. When they put us out of the playoffs last year, so I don't want to say too many good things about Oates, but he came out and I think he hit like 4 or 5 threes in the first half, like crazy things that aren't.
He's not a shooter. Let's put it out there. He's not a shooter.
He became one in the semifinals.
I think maybe Shafiq touched his hand when he was guarding him, and then he got his shooting skill or something. No, but these kids are competitors, dude. Like Malik helped win us the NMBT tournament last August. Mo Abed, great shooter. They got the Osmani, Adam, obviously killer, big dude, rebounds, fundamental basketball player. His brother obviously just came out of college, playing against really good guys over there. So they're gonna be tough to beat, and they always come with it, right? And this goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, is like we have to come prepared to play defense and to want it. And so inshallah, I think it's gonna be a good game. I think that it comes down to who's making more tough shots, because I don't think it's going to be easy one way or the other. So looking forward to a revenge game, inshallah. There.
So let me put it out there. I personally think this is a bad matchup for you guys. The reason why I'm saying this is You're Welcome plays real fast, and they play downhill. I don't know if you guys have enough guys that can match up with their speed. Right?
Yeah.
And again, they do have 3-point shooters. And defensively, man, like you said, I mean, earlier talking about, playing defense and playing slides and shifting and whatnot. They play together, right? And I think week 1 was maybe a fluke for them, maybe to lose to OTF. I don't think they should have lost that game. But I do see You're Welcome as definitely a top 4 team this week, and even probably throughout the whole season. I'm probably gonna say you're not gonna like this, but they will beat you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's entitled to their opinion,
and mine is almost right. So let's just put it out there.
And I respect that. And to be honest, if you bet on their side in the last last CMBL, they put us out, man. Like, can't really say too much about a team that beat you. They're sometimes their passion might work against them, right? Depending on how things are going early on. I think the big thing is that we don't play from behind against a team that's that fast and that lethal in transition.
For sure.
But at the end of the day, there's not this isn't the first matchup on paper that looks bad for PYP that we've come out on top of. So
true. And Mohammed, I want to touch on your games of the week. My game of the week is going to be Baba Amro versus Le Shabab. two young teams, right? And again, we talked about this earlier, where we got a bunch of young players, young teams playing this year. Baba Amaro, I mean, Barack put a team together that he coached, high school. So these guys have that chemistry, right? And we keep
I'm
talking
really
about
impressed with Amar. I think he's gonna be the next upcoming. I think he's
man,
like
that kid got length, mashallah, man. It's
6'5". I call him 6'5" Giannis. Like
man,
he's
you call him Giannis, I call him KD, man. He has that length, that skill that I think mimics KD's game.
yeah, he's mashallah. I think Noah. I believe he coaches him. He's one of those kids that you can like in the next couple of years. I can see him taking over.
Oh, he's well
one of
coached,
these
man.
leagues.
SubhanAllah, he is well coached. And La Shabab, man, and again, I saw this firsthand. They are a 3-point shooting team. They move the ball around. I don't want to keep saying Chunky Kyrie again. I forgot his name, but he is a pure shooter. I would love to. This game is gonna be very fast paced, very active. A lot of trash talking, I think, between the two teams. I for that game, I'm probably gonna take Baba Amado on top just because of their athleticism. But we'll see.
Cool. I know these are the last 5 minutes. Just wanted to like wrap up with the pod. Just more so understand like any last words you guys have. This is the first week, obviously, for the podcast. Exciting. I know we have a long way of season to go. I think it's like till summer, which is like in June. So inshallah, more and more guests will come on podcasts. More and more weeks, we'll get more insights and highlights and things like that. But anything from you, Osman, that you want to end off with?
No, I mean, I think this is a cool idea. I think you guys kind of sprung this on us. But I think it'll build some excitement and, shout out to Haroon and Farhan and Shazad and Umayr now, like everybody who's working behind the scenes or on the front lines for CMBL and One Athletics. I think that you guys are doing a really good job of keeping things fresh and kind of exciting. Basketball leagues are basketball leagues. A lot of times less is more and simple is better. But I think that you guys are adding some tasteful touches that are going to make this an exciting season for this year and beyond. Right? We talked about Dallas, everybody wanting to go represent Chicago there. The jersey's fantastic. I don't think mine's a 3X fitting like that, but I posted that on my story.
You've been working out for 140 days straight, man. You should be at 3X.
Hey, man.
Everyone is following your social media.
Those Pakistani sizes are messed up, man. But anyways, the jerseys are beautiful. Everybody liked them. A little snug, but they're great. Looking forward to the backpacks, I think, this week. Another great touch, right? And, to be frank, the podcast, the social media presence that you guys are putting together, all of this is going to build excitement and build a outreach for more Muslim basketball talent. And we're looking forward to see where this league goes. There's going to be a day where we're just going to be kind of watching or organizing, and not having a horse in the race. So
watching our kids play,
inshallah, man. We're hoping so. Ibrahim, my 4-year-old, gets in the car. Umayr knows Ibrahim. I always joke that Umayr is Ibrahim's friend. We were getting in the car, and someone said something about PYP. He goes, "Baba, why do you like PYP so much?" And I said, "You'll understand when you're older, kid." But there is a lot of excitement. Everybody's looking forward to it. Friday night. There's a lot of other places we could be, but we're really enjoying what you all are doing, and inshallah only gets better.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Fatima Brand. They're your go-to Zabiha slaughtered meat processing company in Chicagoland and the suburbs. If you shop at a Muslim grocery store or even one of those big market brand places, you'll see something from Fatima Brand out there. So definitely show your support, buy their products. Alhamdulillah, they've been sponsoring us for many, many years. And whenever we put a post out there that we need sponsors, they are the first ones, man. And we definitely want to thank them for doing that, inshallah. So that's one thing I want to put out there before we do end this. But yeah, Mohammed, close it off, man.
Yeah,
this is you.
Jazakallah khair for everyone. Shout out to everyone that's been listening and following along. Inshallah, we'll probably grow more and more. And then every week, honestly, feedback is the best thing for us to grow.
Sure.
And just obviously with the biggest thing for us is I feel like Chicago and nationwide is kind of not been represented as much compared to like other states now, especially like Dallas, who like always says like we're the best comp. I'm like, y'all haven't seen Chicago. We just don't post anything. So so
Sure,
inshallah,
sure.
we'll be
We'll see,
posting
inshallah.
more, and then we'll go from there. Jazakallah khair, everyone.
Right.
And
No,
yeah.
hopefully see you guys next week. So
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.